I'm sure I'm not solely, but
Right.
I did meet Axl in a couple of clubs a year ago and 2 years ago and 3 years ago.
After 50 years of rock stardom, Steven Tyler is saying goodbye. The legendary frontman who once seemed unstoppable is now facing the hardest choice of his life after his devastating vocal cord diagnosis. Behind closed doors, doctors delivered news that changed everything. While fans watched Aerosmith cancel tour dates and Tyler undergo treatment, nobody knew the real truth. Now at 76, he's finally made the painful decision that's breaking hearts across the rock world. Steven Tyler's journey started in Yonkers, New York. He was born on March 26, 1948, in Manhattan. His mother Susie Blancher was a secretary. His father Victor Tallarico was a classical musician and pianist who taught music. Victor's talent influenced his son from an early age. Steven watched in awe as his father played piano, planting seeds for his own musical ambitions. But Victor wasn't just a musical influence. He was tough on his son, demanding discipline and excellence. His mother raised him with more freedom, relying on her natural warmth and support. For years, Steven struggled in school. His severe ADHD made traditional education nearly impossible. That changed when music entered his life. One day, while listening to the Rolling Stones recording of Walking the Dog, he found his calling. The energy and rawness of rock music spoke to something deep inside him. When Steven asked his parents about pursuing music, his father had doubts. But even with those concerns, Victor taught his son about music theory, melody, and rhythm, tools that would later shape Aerosmith's distinctive sound. In high school, Tyler formed his first band, The Strangers, later renamed Chain Reaction. They played local venues and even opened for bigger acts like the Beach Boys and the Yardbirds. These early performances gave him a taste of what was to come, the rush of being on stage, the connection with the audience. It was everything he wanted. During these formative years, Tyler developed his unique performance style. Even then, he wasn't just a singer, he was a showman. He studied the great frontmen of the era, Mick Jagger, Roger Daltrey, and Robert Plant. From each, he borrowed elements while adding his own flair. The scarves that would later become his trademark began as a practical solution. His microphone stand kept slipping, so he tied a scarf around it for grip. Soon, one scarf became many, and a rock icon was born. Although music was his passion, Tyler briefly attended the Leonard Quintano School for Young Professionals in New York. The performing arts school gave him formal training in voice, though he would later develop a singing style entirely his own. His teachers recognized his talent but worried about his tendency to push his vocal cords to their limits, a concern that would prove prophetic decades later. But success didn't come immediately. After high school, Tyler bounced between bands, trying to find the right fit. None of them felt right. Then, in 1970, everything changed. While eating at an ice cream parlor in Sunapee, New Hampshire, he saw a band called the Jam Band perform. Their guitarist Joe Perry caught his attention immediately. Tyler was impressed by Perry's raw talent and stage presence. The small resort town of Sunapee seemed an unlikely birthplace for one of America's greatest rock bands. Tyler was there working at a local ice cream shop for the summer. It was a job his parents had arranged, hoping to instill some responsibility in their free-spirited son. Perry was also a seasonal worker, washing dishes at the same establishment. Fate brought them together at precisely the right moment in their lives. What Steven didn't know was that this chance encounter would change rock history. He approached Perry after the show, and they discovered they shared similar musical tastes and ambitions. Along with bassist Tom Hamilton, they formed a new band. Soon after, Joey Kramer joined as drummer, followed by Ray Tabano, later replaced by Brad Whitford as rhythm guitarist. They called themselves Aerosmith, a name that came to Tyler while listening to Harry Nilsson's album Aerial Ballet. On November 6, 1970, they played their first official show at Nipmuc Regional High School in Mendon, Massachusetts. The crowd was small, but their energy was undeniable. They were paid just $50 for the performance, but it wasn't about the money, it was the beginning of something big. The band moved into a small apartment at 1325 Commonwealth Avenue in Boston. The cramped quarters fostered creativity but also tension. They lived, rehearsed, and partied in the same space, developing the chemistry that would define their sound. Tyler would later recall these days with a mix of nostalgia and horror, the poverty, the hunger, but also the pure, unfiltered creativity. For 2 years, Aerosmith built their reputation in Boston clubs. They played anywhere that would have them: high schools, bars, small venues. The constant performing shaped their sound and stage presence. Tyler's voice got stronger with each show. His ability to hit high notes while maintaining a raspy, bluesy quality made him stand out from other rock singers. During this period, Tyler developed a reputation as a taskmaster in the band. Despite his wild persona, he was meticulous about rehearsals and performances. He demanded perfection from himself and his bandmates, often to their frustration. This perfectionism would later become both Aerosmith's greatest strength and a source of internal conflict. In 1972, their hard work paid off. Columbia Records executive Clive Davis saw them perform at Max's Kansas City in New York. He was immediately impressed and offered them a record deal. Their self-titled debut album was released on January 5, 1973. Though it wasn't an immediate success, songs like Dream On showcased Tyler's incredible vocal range and the band's potential. Dream On was actually written years earlier when Tyler was just 17. He composed it on a piano at his family's vacation home in Sunapee, New Hampshire. The song's emotional depth and Tyler's impressive falsetto made it unlike anything else on their debut album. Though it initially failed to chart high, it would later become one of their signature songs. The band's early sound was heavily influenced by blues rock acts like the Rolling Stones and the Yardbirds. Critics often compared them unfavorably to these established groups, dismissing Aerosmith as mere imitators. These criticisms stung Tyler, who was determined to forge a unique sound. He pushed the band to experiment with different rhythms and vocal arrangements, gradually developing the distinctive style that would make them famous. Success came with their second album, Get Your Wings, produced by Bob Ezrin and Jack Douglas. Released in March 1974, it contained future classics like Same Old Song and Dance and Train Kept a Rolling. But it was their third album, Toys in the Attic, 1975, that made them superstars. The album featured hits like Sweet Emotion and Walk This Way, songs that would define their sound. By 1976, Aerosmith was one of the biggest bands in America. Their fourth album, Rocks, solidified their status as hard rock icons. Rolling Stone magazine would later rank it as one of the greatest albums of all time. The band's popularity was reflected in their touring schedule, as they graduated from clubs to arenas. Their live shows became legendary for Tyler's dynamic performances and the band's tight musicianship. As Aerosmith's popularity soared, so did their excesses. The late 1970s were marked by heavy use, particularly for Tyler and Perry. They became known as the Toxic Twins because of their notorious habits. Tyler later admitted to spending over $2 million on drugs during this period. His addiction to heroin, cocaine, and alcohol began affecting his performances and relationships with bandmates. The drugs took a physical toll on Tyler's voice as well, dried out, his vocal cords making them more susceptible to damage. He developed nodules, callus-like growths on the vocal cords that can severely affect sound quality. Yet he continued to perform night after night, further straining his voice. It was a pattern of abuse that would have consequences decades later. By 1979, tensions reached a breaking point. During a show in Cleveland, an argument broke out backstage. Perry's wife threw a glass of milk at Tom Hamilton's wife, and chaos ensued. Soon after, Perry left the band. Brad Whitford followed in 1981. The band continued with replacement musicians, but it wasn't the same. Their commercial success declined sharply. The albums Night in the Ruts, 1979, and Rock in a Hard Place, 1982, failed to match the success of their previous work. Critics were harsh, and fans seemed to lose interest. Tyler's drug use worsened, affecting his reliability and creativity. He would sometimes collapse on stage or forget lyrics. The band that had once been America's answer to the Rolling Stones was now on the verge of becoming a cautionary tale. Tyler's personal life was equally chaotic. In 1977, he married model Surinder Fox, and they had a daughter, Mia. But the marriage was troubled from the start due to Tyler's drug use and infidelity. They divorced in 1987. In 1978, he had a second daughter, Liv, with model Bebe Buell, though he didn't know about her until she was 8 years old. Buell had told Liv that rock star Todd Rundgren was her father to protect her from Tyler's drug addiction. The revelation about Liv came during a chance encounter at a Rundgren concert. Tyler spotted a young girl who looked remarkably like him and his other daughter. When he learned the truth, he was determined to become a part of Liv's life. Despite his ongoing struggles with addiction, their relationship would develop slowly over the years, eventually becoming one of the strongest bonds in his life. The turning point came in 1984. After a show in Springfield, Illinois, Tyler collapsed on stage, unable to perform. This wake-up call led him to enter a rehabilitation program. It wasn't easy, but he was determined to get clean. Joe Perry, who had also hit rock bottom, rejoined the band in 1984. Brad Whitford returned the following year. The road to recovery was long and difficult. Tyler relapsed multiple times, but each time he found the strength to try again. He later described getting clean as the hardest thing he'd ever done, harder than writing songs, harder than performing, harder even than the physical pain of his many injuries. But he persevered, motivated by his desire to reclaim his career and be present for his children. Their comeback was solidified with the album Permanent Vacation in 1987. It produced hits like Dude, Looks Like a Lady, and Angel. Then came Pump, 1989, with Love in an Elevator and Janie's Got a Gun, followed by Get a Grip, 1993, featuring Crazy, Crying, and Amazing. These albums introduced Aerosmith to a new generation, helped by their videos starring young actresses like Alicia Silverstone and Tyler's daughter, Liv. The band's collaboration with hip-hop group Run DMC on a remake of Walk This Way in 1986 was particularly significant. It broke down barriers between rock and rap, two genres that had previously existed in separate worlds. The song reached a new audience and revitalized interest in Aerosmith's earlier work. For Tyler, it represented a willingness to evolve and adapt that would characterize the band's later career. Behind the scenes, Tyler worked hard to protect his voice during this comeback era. He began working with vocal coaches and developed a pre-show routine that included steam treatments and vocal exercises. He became more aware of the physical demands of singing rock music night after night and adjusted his technique accordingly. He also embraced a healthier lifestyle, though his road to sobriety had occasional detours throughout the 1990s and 2000s. Aerosmith maintained their status as one of rock's greatest live acts. Tyler's energetic performances, marked by his signature scarves hanging from his microphone stand, became legendary. He seemed indestructible, bouncing back from multiple injuries. In 2009, he fell off a stage during a show, breaking his shoulder. In 2011, he fell in a hotel shower, knocking out 2 teeth and giving himself a black eye. These injuries were more than just bad luck, they were the result of Tyler's refusal to slow down despite his advancing age. While other rock stars of his generation modified their performances to accommodate their changing bodies, Tyler continued to push himself to the limit. He still ran across the stage, still did his signature microphone stand acrobatics, still hit those high notes that had made him famous decades earlier. In 2010, Tyler surprised fans by joining the judging panel of American Idol. Some rock purists criticized the move as selling out, but Tyler saw it as an opportunity to introduce himself to a new generation. During his 2 seasons on the show, he charmed viewers with his colorful personality and genuine enthusiasm for aspiring singers. He also used the platform to promote his autobiography Does the Noise in My Head Bother You?, which became a New York Times bestseller. The book revealed details about his life that many fans hadn't known: his struggle with hepatitis C, diagnosed in 2003 and treated over an 11-month period, the multiple foot surgeries he'd undergone due to his energetic performances, and his ongoing battle with addiction, which included a relapse and return to rehab in 2009. These revelations humanized the rock star, showing the physical and emotional price of his decades in the spotlight. Through it all, Tyler's voice remained remarkably resilient, until recently. In April 2023, Aerosmith announced their Peace Out Farewell Tour. After 50 years, they planned to say goodbye to their fans with one final journey across North America. The tour was scheduled to begin on September 2, 2023, with shows in Philadelphia, Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, and Boston. The announcement came after years of speculation about the band's future. Tyler had hinted at retirement in previous interviews, acknowledging that the physical demands of touring were becoming increasingly difficult. "I'm 75, he told one reporter. "I can still hit all the notes, but it takes more out of me than it used to." Still, he was determined to give fans one final chance to see the band at its best. Preparations for the tour were extensive. Tyler began working with his vocal coach months in advance, focusing on strengthening and preserving his voice. The band rehearsed for weeks, fine-tuning a set list that would span their entire career. Special production elements were designed to make this final tour their most spectacular yet. Everything seemed on track for a triumphant farewell, but something wasn't right. During rehearsals, Tyler's voice wasn't cooperating. He struggled to hit notes that had once come easily. Initially, the band thought it was just strain from practicing. They hoped rest would solve the problem. It didn't. On September 2, 2023, just hours before they were set to perform in Philadelphia, Tyler suffered a vocal injury during final rehearsals. His voice cracked on a high note, and he felt immediate pain. The band was forced to postpone the first few shows. In a statement, they explained that Tyler had sustained a vocal cord injury and needed time to recover. The initial diagnosis was vocal cord strain, a common issue for singers that typically resolves with rest. The band rescheduled the postponed shows for January and February 2024, expecting Tyler to make a full recovery. He followed his doctor's orders carefully, maintaining complete vocal rest and undergoing regular examinations to monitor his progress. Behind the scenes, doctors were concerned. They conducted extensive tests and delivered a shocking diagnosis: Tyler had fractured his larynx. For any singer, this would be serious. For a 75-year-old rock vocalist who had pushed his voice to the limit for 5 decades, it was potentially career-ending. The larynx, or voice box, contains the vocal cords, which vibrate to produce sound when air passes through them. A fracture to this delicate structure can permanently alter or severely damage a person's ability to speak, let alone sing with the power and range that Tyler's performances demand. This type of injury is rare, but not unprecedented in the music world. Other singers, including Adele and Sam Smith, have experienced vocal cord issues that required surgery and extended recovery periods. But most of these cases involved younger performers whose bodies could heal more effectively. At Tyler's age, the prognosis was far less certain. On September 11, 2023, Aerosmith announced more postponements, pushing the tour to early 2024. But as Tyler's condition was monitored, the prognosis became increasingly grim. The damage was more extensive than initially thought. Despite the best medical care available, his vocal cords weren't healing as hoped. While Tyler underwent treatment, the band faced a difficult decision: should they continue the farewell tour with a different singer? The idea was quickly dismissed. As Joe Perry put it, there is no Aerosmith without Steven Tyler. They had started this journey together 50 years ago, and they would end it together, or not at all. The discussions were emotional and often tense. Some members argued for delaying the decision, hoping that with enough time Tyler might recover sufficiently to perform, even in a limited capacity. Others felt it was better to be honest with fans rather than creating false hope. Tyler himself was tormented by the situation, alternating between determination to overcome his injury and acceptance of what seemed increasingly inevitable. On December 1, 2023, the band released a devastating statement. "We are heartbroken to announce that the Peace Out tour has been cancelled." Despite working tirelessly to recover from his vocal cord injury, Steven's doctors have now determined that the damage is more serious than initially thought. His voice as we know it will not return for an extended period of time, if at all. The statement continued. We never want to give you anything less than the best show. Your tickets will be refunded at point of purchase. The farewell tour was our chance to celebrate with the amazing fans who've been with us for 50 years. To say we're devastated is an understatement. The love and support you've shown us throughout the years means everything to us. For fans who had followed Aerosmith through their 50-year career, the news was crushing. Many had already purchased tickets, planning to see their favorite band one last time. The abrupt end denied them the chance to say goodbye properly. Social media flooded with messages of support and disappointment. Longtime fans shared memories of concerts attended decades ago, photos of memorabilia collected over the years, and personal stories about how Aerosmith's music had impacted their lives. Even celebrities and fellow musicians joined in, paying tribute to the band's legacy and expressing hope for Tyler's recovery. This isn't the first time Tyler has faced significant health challenges. In 2006, he announced he had been diagnosed with hepatitis C and had undergone treatment for the condition. In 2019, he suffered a relapse in his sobriety after more than 9 years clean, checking himself into a treatment program. Over the years, he has also had multiple surgeries related to performance injuries, including operations on his knees and feet. The cancellation raises questions about Aerosmith's legacy. While the band hasn't officially announced retirement, this development may effectively mark the end of their performing career. The group had already been dealing with another significant change when drummer Joey Kramer stepped away from performing with the band in 2022, with his son Jesse filling in. Their longevity is particularly remarkable in an industry known for burnout and breakups. The core lineup, Tyler, Perry, Hamilton, Whitford, and Kramer, stayed largely intact for 5 decades, overcoming drug addiction, internal conflicts, and changing musical trends. Few bands in any genre can claim such stability, especially with all the temptations and pressures of rock stardom. Their final statement perhaps says it best: "We've shared our lives with you since 1970, and we're so grateful for the love and support you've given us. Our love to you all." For a band whose music urged fans not to miss a thing, the sudden conclusion of their live career means many will miss the chance to say goodbye properly. But the music and the memories remain, ensuring that Steven Tyler's voice will continue to echo for generations to come, regardless of whether he ever takes the stage again. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe.